Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mommy While Muslim. This is Uzma Jafri.
And this is Ava Hassan. And no, I did not dye my hair purple out of craziness during this quarantine. For some reason, my camera is just not working. So you are going to be dealing with Gem Zeba. It just is so glitchy, but this is what happens. But I do look good in purple. So maybe I will be crazy and dye my hair during the quarantine. How was your
Gem
week
is
this week,
excitement.
Ozma?
It was good. I've been
Exactly.
mostly keeping a grip, losing it a little bit, as you probably heard on my audio before we came on, as a child came storming to the door
Mhm.
to talk about how some work is impossible to do. And I'm just like, I forgot and I kind of screamed, but then I like wagged my finger under the door, go away. Lots of me time, lots of reading. I'm still working, trying to keep up with all of it, but I'm hanging in. How about you? What's going on?
Same thing. We are just dealing with distance learning snafus, which, we're just one of the largest school districts in America, to be honest with you. There's 190,000 students trying to get logged onto a
Whoa.
system that is just it's just not working. I'm feeling a little bit badly because at least I'm blessed in the sense that both my husband and I can work from home. So we're working with our kids independently. But I'm definitely feeling for the kids and the children and the families that can't do that. And how are they going to be left behind? And because I think they're trying the best that they can. I feel like the teachers are trying to do the best that they can. This is not, it's literally a technology issue. I just don't think that they can handle the amount of children, the amount of families trying to get logged on, let alone those people that don't even have Wi Fi or their own device. So,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep everything in perspective, trying to feel blessed and maintaining a little bit of sanity. But the same thing, I was just yelling at mine, not yelling, but like, you need to go downstairs and I'm sorry it's not working. But there's literally nothing I can do about it. We will work on this later. So, trying to keep perspective, trying to be
Exactly.
positive. I feel like I'm getting less me time just because I'm surrounded by my kids at all times. And because of the three different class, the elementary, the middle school, and the high school, it is a little bit harder for me to navigate in the sense of trying to keep them all in line, trying to help them, trying to do this stuff, trying to keep the house clean, which is essentially a crapshoot at this point, to be very blunt with you.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I
Exercise
am
of
a
futility.
okay. So, exactly, not much we can do. But what is our soapbox for today, my dearest?
So I feel like our for today is kind of riding on the coattails of what you just said. We're just going to do a quick thought model review. We've alluded to this in a couple of episodes that we did, I believe on mom guilt we did early on last year. So what's happening outside cannot control us. And I'm going to say that again. What's happening outside cannot control us. It is not controlling us right now. We can absolutely control our reaction to the fact of life, which is coronavirus right now. There's a pandemic. That's a fact. If you don't believe that there's a pandemic, then you should probably stop listening to us because we can't help you and we're probably not a good fit for you because, we feel like we're very in touch with reality. What we think about this quarantine and this quarantine Ramadan is going to determine how we feel about it and then how we experience it. And most importantly, our kids' experience about it. So let's make it awesome. If our thoughts are not going to give us the experience that we want, then we need to change our thoughts, right? And it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of practice to do thought model. So, to get the experience we want, we rework the thoughts so that we get exactly the Ramadan of our dreams. Because I really think Ramadan 2020 can be the best Ramadan we've ever had. Is the psyching ourselves out? Yeah, that's why people psych themselves out. Like on the football field, on the field, that's why you're like hitting your chest together and slapping butts and stuff because you're trying to psych yourself into a mindset of winning. And that's what we need to do. We need to like chest bump virtually from a 6 foot distance. We need to elbow, high tens or high twos, whatever you can do with two elbows, in a good and healthy way. We are trying to psych ourselves into the best Ramadan of our lives. So let's shift our mindset and work on thought model. That's our soapbox for today.
That is a good soapbox, and I definitely appreciate it. Um, and quite frankly, I am super excited because I can do Taraweeh prayers and do all those things because they're going to be done virtually. So, to your point, perhaps it's going to bring a new demographic of people into the spirituality of Ramadan that couldn't necessarily join before. So, I am going to be excited, or at least fake it till you make it, like
There
Brene
you go.
Brown says, or fake it till you become it. That's what I'm going to do. So, what I am going to introduce our guest right now, which you mentioned him. You shared a YouTube link, and I was just like, oh my god, we need to have this remarkable young man on our show, and I was so excited that he agreed to be on the show today. And we are joined today by Eissa Albinali, who is a 14-year-old Muslim American expat in Granada, Spain. And Uzma, like I said, subscribe to his YouTube channel, where he has taken this like crazy cool initiative in creating something just for kids to help with quarantine boredom, social isolation, and kind of getting people reconnected to their faith. He is so accomplished and super creative. And I have to say, his website, I think I might have to hire him so he can update our website. But thank you so much for joining us today, Eissa Albinali. We really, really appreciate you here on Momming While Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, Isa.
Thank you for having me on. Hello. Yeah. Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me on. So I guess I'm just going to kind of introduce myself. So I'm the oldest of three. I have two younger sisters. We live just outside Boston, Massachusetts, but in August of 2019, we moved to Granada, Spain for a year, just to learn Spanish and just to live abroad for a year, really. So we live in a small town just called Albaicin, and it's like a very historical area, especially with like the Muslim, the Islamic architecture and everything like that. It's a World Heritage Site, actually. So yeah, it's well known for its Islamic history. So the main thing I do after school is fencing. I started fencing about 3 years ago, and I really loved it ever since. In Spain, I was part of an after-school soccer team for a few months because how can you live in Spain and not play soccer? I mean, like, it's part of really their culture over there, or over here, I should say.
It's a religion.
Yeah, it really is. So I've currently memorized about a third of the Quran, and my goal is to finish memorizing the whole Quran in about 2 years. So yeah, hopefully I just need to keep working on this. So about 6
We
weeks
just need to
ago,
adopt you. That's
I
what we
would
need to
say
do.
over here in yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So about 6 weeks
He's like,
ago.
no pink ladies, no weird pink ladies.
I know, I'm scared of you.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Go ahead, Isa. Sorry.
So about 6 weeks ago, we went into like a complete aggressive lockdown in Spain, and obviously you know what that means. We literally like we can't leave the house or anything like that, and so that's the time really when I started to really work harder on my blog, and I got many posts up on there. That was also the beginning of the my kids Juma. So I feel like at the beginning of the lockdown, all the kids and like teens, they thought like, yeah, you know, this is a great time. We can play video games all day and watch TV. But I feel like, first of all, that gets old after a while. It gets really, really old really quick. And the second, I feel like this is a time that you can work on yourself and do something that before you didn't have much time to do, because right now we have a lot of time. So something that I did that I don't think many people know is I actually started to develop a superhero character called Lingo Boy. So long story short, he's just a superhero that can speak every language. I first had the idea of like developing this character when I wrote, I first had this idea of developing the character when I wrote an essay about him for school. But so I just kept him in the back of my mind the whole time, and now is a really good time to develop him and stuff like that. So he also has an Instagram where I like really post the development of him.
Lingo Boy has an Instagram?
I love that.
Yeah, he
Oh
has
my
an Instagram,
gosh.
and
That is so cool.
yeah, I try to post like once every day or something. Just try to show how I developed him, his like story kind of. So I'm using this time obviously just to develop him, and just because I really want to get a a graphic novel published about him. So I'm working on that right now. So I think this is a time right now to really let your creativity run wild and really focus on something that you're interested in, something that you didn't have time to do before. Also, for the parents out there, I feel like you just have to support your kids. If they have an idea or something like for an idea for something they want to do, you need to, I feel like, support them in it, because they won't be able to accomplish too much without the support of their parents or whoever watches over them. So yeah, many kids and teens have really good ideas, but really they have no one to back them up, and then it really just goes nowhere. So if a teen or a kid has like an idea, something, for example, they want to post a book, they want to, I don't know, whatever they want to do, they need the support of their parents to get that idea published.
So what I'm
Well, that's
hearing
out of the
is
mouth of
that when
babes.
you
I
had the
really
idea,
appreciate that.
totally. When Issa, you're talking about
Yeah.
have kids having an idea and parents supporting it. Can you tell us how that relates to the kid khutbah? Because, we're all seeing awesome kid, but everybody knows my obsession with awesome kids is they must have awesome moms. So tell me, when you had this
Mm-hmm.
idea of kid khutbahs, or if it was your idea, and then who and how did you get it out there into our homes?
Mm-hmm. So it first started off, since obviously we can't go to Juma right now. So we were just gonna do it like a khutbah at the house, like not even show it to anyone, just like for our family. But then my mom, I think, had the idea that we can like post it on YouTube and Facebook or whatever we're posting it on, like Instagram. So we had the idea to do it, and really for kids, because kids like to listen to other kids do it. Kids like to listen to other kids. So we decided to do a kid Juma every Friday. And I really I wanted to make sure that the topic that I chose was really relevant to what was going on, so that whenever they listen to it, it really helps them out like right away. So relating to how like my parents helped me, obviously, they really, for example, I needed some certain equipment to start this going. So they were able to buy me the equipment that I needed and really support me through this whole thing. My mom always edits my khutbahs, so whenever I'm done writing it myself, she looks over it. She sees like what we need to add, what we can take away, just to optimize it more. And
And you guys
yeah,
do
so
a
that's
really good
really how
job
it is.
because it's like 15 minutes, which is like exactly the attention span that my children have. Because when grown-ups
Yeah.
give khutbahs, my kids are like really fighting to keep their wudu because
Yeah,
they fall asleep. But with you, it's like no problem. They start with wudu, they end with wudu, they can go straight and pray. It's amazing.
yeah. We always tried to keep
So,
I try to keep it a bit shorter and not too long, just so that, you know.
because you understand what kids are actually interested in right now. So what are you're talking about some of the topics that are relevant for kids right now, kind of getting them through this quarantine time. And obviously with you being in Spain, you guys are probably a little bit more locked down than we are here at the States. So some of the things that you are concerned about right now dealing with this quarantine?
So I think dealing with this quarantine, the main thing is I feel like a lot of people want to get out. Um, so my main concerns are really just I think that if we just need to, everyone needs to stay at home really, and just so that we don't really make this. How should I put this? I think that my main concerns for this are this becoming more intense, maybe. So what I mean by that is like if people don't follow the guidelines that are being given right now, this situation could become more intense and more people could become infected. So this would last for longer. So I feel like everyone just has to try to keep themselves busy at home, do something, like I said, working on something that you didn't have time to do before. And really just, just following the guidelines, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah, because in
So,
not
Issa, I'm
following
not
the
sure if you're
guidelines,
aware.
obviously it stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah. Issa, I'm not sure if you're aware, but in the last 2 days, there have been a lot of protests in the United States where people are trying to get their states to reopen businesses and say, okay, we've had enough of a lockdown. Like, we need to make money, we need to get out there. Tell us what your experience, like what week in the life of a kiddo living in Spain right now looks like. And tell us exactly how the lockdown has affected your family so that those people who are protesting get an idea of what it really means.
Mhm.
Yeah. So first of all, we came to Spain just to learn Spanish, and since the quarantine, the learning has really been put on a halt. Because in school, obviously, I go to a totally Spanish school, so it's really complete like immersion, and that's why we really came here just to learn Spanish. So right now, that has been completely put on stop. Um, and then I would say a day in the life of me or a kid in Spain. Um, for me specifically, I try to pick kind of 3 goals that I want to accomplish every day. They don't have to be anything big, but just some 3 goals that I want to accomplish. And once I complete those goals, I do, whatever I want the rest of the day. And I also try to go out to our patio once every day just to try to get some fresh air because we have a patio in the back of our house. So the goals that I do every day, they can really be anything. Sometimes it's starting a new blog post, or sometimes it's I don't know, writing my khutbah, or whatever it may be. I try to complete 3 goals a day just so that I'm not at home doing really nothing of use, because this time, as like, it's not just you can do what you want during this time. It's not like when you come home from school, for example, you maybe just finish your homework and then, I don't know, do what you want. I feel like during this time we have to use this time effectively and use it to advance on our goals.
Well, he's just making me feel bad about not cleaning out my closets right now.
I know. I was like, I am going to take a page out of Issa's book, write down my 3 goals for today, and be productive. Like, that's definitely really, really awesome advice. And I think a lot of people, a lot of adults could learn from you, Issa. To be honest with you, perhaps you should start your Khutbahs for adults because, quite frankly, I would listen every Friday. The one thing I wanted to ask you specifically with Ramadan coming up, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different
Yeah,
than what we have experienced in the past, right? So, how one are
yeah.
you as a family trying to prepare for that, and how are you specifically trying to prepare for Ramadan coming up at the end of this week?
Yeah, so a few things that we're trying to do is first I'm trying to get my khutbah a bit more established because the latest khutbah that I did was about how we can prepare for Ramadan, and I just gave a few tips on like good ways that you can prepare for Ramadan, especially during this time. Um, so also what we're doing is we're just making like little decorations at home with whatever we have, and um, just trying to get excited for this Ramadan, even though it will be different than past Ramadans that we've had. Um, as well, what we're trying to do is I want to get my khutbah in a point where I feel like right now, since the first time we started it, a lot of people have been watching it, which is actually really good. And I just feel like this Ramadan is going to be a bit different than we normally do it, but you can still make good out of it. I think that we're going to still try to do Taraweeh at home. And yeah, I think that's how we're going to prepare. Uh,
So, Issa, for people who don't know you, I'm going to take us kind of back to the lockdown question. Are you comfortable talking about what happened to your family as a result of the lockdown? You mentioned it in one of your khutbahs a couple of weeks ago. So I just
oh,
think that, it would be really
yeah, I
moving to
remember
tell
that.
people about what real what real problems are.
Yeah. So before the lockdown started, my dad went on a business trip to the U.S. to Boston, and it was only supposed to be like I think like 3 weeks or something like that. But actually, literally maybe like a few days, maybe even a week after he left, the borders closed, and he wasn't actually able to come back. So right now he's currently in the U.S. and he's trying to look for flights. I think he's gonna try to look for flights next week, but currently like he's not over here, and he was supposed to come back like I think around a month ago. So he's just currently stuck there, and I miss him obviously. But the thing is, I'm happy that everyone is like safe. We all need to just stay safe, and he will come back eventually, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, that's a really good perspective. And the fact that,
inshallah.
your lockdown is so serious, your family is separated. You can go out to the patio, but you're not allowed on the street. Like you can't go walking, you can't go playing within 6 feet of your friends because
Mm-hmm.
y'all will get arrested, right? Like that's what a
Yeah,
lockdown looks like. Your mom can't leave you guys at
yeah,
home and go get groceries, so your wonderful neighbors are bringing groceries to you
mm-hmm.
guys. Like I think if that doesn't speak
Yeah,
resilience, I don't know what else does. So when people are storming our
mm-hmm.
state governments and saying, open up, it's like, dude, you ain't got it bad. Relax. This 14-year-old kid is making the best of times. See, I thought the khutbahs came because you missed your dad and you wanted to kind of replace that Juma experience with your dad by doing it yourself. That's what I thought
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I kind of knew what had happened to your
We
family and,
yeah.
I was just so inspired.
Mm. Yeah, we didn't start it on that like idea, but I obviously shared what happened in one of my khutbahs. And yeah, right now, like on the streets, if you go on the streets, there are police, just kind of patrolling every once in a while. So they'll tell you to go back into your house, and they're obviously going to fine you, because if you go on the streets, they will fine you. And if you have to go for groceries, for example, they actually like want to see, like they want to make sure, they're asking you like which grocery store are you going to. You need to say like the exact location, and then when you're coming back, they need to like check your receipt and everything like that. They need to like be sure
Oh,
that
wow.
you're only going for that. Yep.
So see, we have it so easy over here.
That's pretty intense. Yeah, we really do. That's pretty intense. But
Yeah.
as an American living overseas right now, like how does that actually make you feel?
Well, for me personally, like we don't go out, so I haven't experienced anything like that. But I went out once to take out the trash, and I saw like a police at the end of the street, and I wanted to quickly get in just so that like no problems start or anything like that. Um, and I think the police actually started to uh, go around and like patrol because a group of teens, I'm pretty sure, like they just went out and like were meeting each
Mhm.
other, and yeah, some problems happened. So yeah.
Luckily, you're not one of those troublemakers. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, Isa, mashallah, you're already so accomplished. Like, I think when I went to your website, it says blogger, fencer, and a couple of other cool things, but you're also, I think,
Mm-hmm.
a food critic. You are on your way to Hifz, memorizing the Quran, inshallah. So I don't know what other goals you could possibly have, but apparently you come up with 3 daily goals. What do you want to accomplish during this Ramadan in quarantine?
So during this Ramadan, I feel like the most important thing that I want to accomplish is memorize a lot more of the Quran. I think that during this time, with being at home like for the whole day, and I think that I could memorize a lot more of the Quran and speed up my memorization. I also want to keep getting out better khutbahs. So every week I can make my khutbah a bit better. And yeah, so I think the khutbah is a very important one, and also memorizing Quran. Another thing that I want to accomplish during this Ramadan is not necessarily related to Ramadan itself, but obviously I talked about my Lingo Boy character, the superhero that I developed. I'm actually right now I'm starting to develop an outline for a story that I'm gonna make about him, for a graphic novel that I'm gonna make about him. So I started the outline already, and I want to see if I can get that outline done by the end of Ramadan. Try to work on that right now.
That's really awesome.
Well, I'm
I don't
super
know if you know
excited to
there's a
see
John
what
Travolta
Lingo Boy
movie.
is going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a John Travolta movie where I think maybe he gets electrocuted or something. Your mom might remember. I don't, Zeba, tell me if you remember the movie, but he gets electrocuted and he can just go to the library and touch the spines of books, and he touches all the language books to learn all the languages. And so when I was a little kid and I saw that, I was like, I wish I could learn by osmosis, like learn all the languages just by doing that. So yeah, I was your lingo girl like 20 years ago, 25 years
That's
ago.
so funny.
Yeah, I didn't
You're
even know about this
you're going to need a
movie or
sidekick.
character. I'm gonna go look
Apparently,
at it after.
Auntie Uzma is going to be your
Yeah,
sidekick.
Yeah,
yeah, she'll be
totally.
the
I would love
sidekick.
to be your lingo girl, and I can't wait for this graphic novel. That's like my dream to learn
Yeah,
every language in the world. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
What are your usual activities that you love doing in Ramadan, Isa? Like if this was a Ramadan back home, say in Boston, what would you guys
Yeah.
usually do?
So I have a few things. One, we lived really close to a masjid, we lived really close to a mosque, literally like 2 minutes walking. So what we always used to do is we used to make food for iftar, and we used to bring it over there. And for some reason, that was just really fun to do. I think the favorite thing to make during iftar are, the little samosas, the triangles, because for some reason, I don't know what's so fun about it, but just something about it. I like putting in the meat and then folding it. It's kind of like a little craft or something like that. Another thing that I also really like is going to Taraweeh with my dad. So last year I went to Taraweeh every single day, and I also used to see my friends over there, and it was really nice. Yeah. Those are my probably favorite things to do. I also like decorating the house before Ramadan. Yeah, and then decorating for Eid the day before or something like that.
So Issa,
Oh.
like the one thing I dislike the most about Ramadan prep is making the samosa triangles. So I wish you lived closer, then you could just help me with that because that's the one thing I do not like doing. So Uzma actually alluded to this a little bit earlier on your website that you're also a blogger. So what are the types of things? What are the things that you actually enjoy writing about? I would say before quarantine and after quarantine, or perhaps it's all the same.
Okay. Yeah. So about my blog, I usually just document kind of my life. So like whenever I do something that's kind of fun, like I don't know, I travel somewhere or something like that, I like to write a blog post about it. Recently, I've written two blog posts. One about the development of Lingo Boy, and one about my views of the quarantine in Spain, like a teen living during the quarantine in Spain. So I really just like to write about anything that I think people, or that I like, I should say. And yeah, mainly like whenever I travel, I feel like I write about my favorite place that I went. For example, like when I went to London, for example, I wrote about when I went to King's Cross Station. They have like a little Harry Potter thing that you can take a picture next to.
Yeah, it's
So I
very
thought that was
fun.
really cool. So I just wrote about it, and I wrote my whole experience there. So I think I just started blogging about 2 years ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, something like that. And ever since I've moved to Spain, I've really picked up on my blog and started to do it more often.
You already won my heart because I am a Harry Potter fan and I'm a Gryffindor. What are you?
Yeah, yeah, Gryffindor as well.
Yes! Gryffindor's in the
I'm
house. Love
Slytherin. I
it.
don't know what
Love
that
it so much.
says. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's actually terrible.
Oh my God, Slytherin.
You're a
Oh,
Slytherin?
okay, Slytherin.
I'm a
No,
Slytherin.
he said
Well,
I'm a
she's
that's
a
Slytherin, and my
okay.
Slytherin.
daughter is Gryffindor.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's okay because Severus Snape is a Slytherin and we love Severus. I cried again when I watched the movie. We had a marathon last
I
week at our
know. I have
house
to
and
pull
I
yeah.
those
cried
out.
all over again. And my kids were like, every time you cry. I'm like, I know I can't. It's Severus. I love him. All right. Well, Issa, thank you
What I
so much
used
for
to
joining
do,
us today. We're
uh,
going to have, go ahead, go ahead.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say that
Issa,
I
you were going to
used to
say something.
collect those little Harry Potter Funko Pop figures. I used to collect the Harry Potter
Hmm.
Funko Pop figures, and I just still have them, just in a box right now, just not opened or anything.
That's
Well, you can
so
set
funny.
them
My
back
daughter
up
has
when you
the
come back
entire
stateside.
collection all on the top.
Yeah.
That's so
So
funny.
what we're going to
Harry
do
Potter
is
forever.
go ahead and we're going to share your Lingo Boy Instagram because I am super excited to see where he goes or what kind of adventures he's going to go on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving us all the tips. Do you have any last words for moms right now, what we should know for our children during Ramadan? Any advice that you can give to Uzma and I about how we should help our children this Ramadan?
I think that the main thing that helps me, especially, is during the morning when I wake up for sahur to have food. I'm like actually so tired, so I think that the main thing is just to have food ready and to
Oh
prepare
my,
some food
okay,
like
got it.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Have
I
it
think that's the
ready
main
so you
thing
can
for
just
me.
sit down and eat. I am gonna take that
Yeah, and
advice
then
to
go back to
heart.
bed.
Okay, I definitely appreciate it. And then let you go back to bed. Okay, I
So this
definitely
means we gotta wake
appreciate
up at
that.
3 in the morning to get the food ready.
Yep. Yeah.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Issa. I so appreciate it. And again, for anybody who's joining us late,
Thank
Eissa
you.
Albinali is an expat Muslim American living in Spain who is an amazing kiddo. We're going to share his website, which has his blog on it, his IG, and the Lingo Boy, his character, has his own Instagram. So we're going to be following along, learning by osmosis through you, Issa, and through Lingo Boy. Thank you so much for doing this with us today, and happy
Thank
early
you so
Ramadan.
much. Thank you
Or
for having me on.
all
Yeah.
right, Assalamu alaikum,
Assalamu
everyone. Thanks for
alaikum.
joining us today on